Leeds United's transfer window has been tough, and that's to put it quite kindly. We've tried to get a hell of a lot of deals done, and now Jon Rowe seems to have made his choice in terms of where he's going, because there's been a little bit of a transfer scrap going on there, because that Leeds target has now made his decision. Hi, welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about what exactly has happened with the Jon Rowe deal, why he's made the decision that he has, some potential things around failings on the side of one of the clubs, what we do next, and I'll have a little bit of a discussion about something Red Bull-ish, which I think could be quite interesting. But first, we need to start with what exactly happened, and I think that's quite an interesting place to begin, because reports have come out that Marseille have sent in a new bid for Jon Rowe. Seems like it's worth £13 million on a loan-to-buy deal, and they seem confident of getting the deal done, and there seems to be confidence on the Norwich side of getting the deal done as well. They don't necessarily want to sell, but they also recognise that Rowe doesn't want to be there, and it's not really any good retaining a player who hates being at your football club. That's not productive for anyone. According to Fabrizio Romano, Rowe has told clearly to Norwich that he wants to play for Olympique Marseille, which basically, again, kills the chance of a Leeds United deal. That is functionally Jon Rowe making his decision. But why make that decision? And I think it's pretty easy for him to make that decision, because looking back on absolutely everything that's happened, Leeds have done effectively nothing. Leeds approached Norwich at first to say, okay, so we want to sign one of your players, whether it was Gabriel Sara or Jon Rowe. And at the same time, we were like, actually, can we have a bit of a conversation about you as well? And the fact of the matter is, neither of those players are players that we fully committed to. Neither of them are players that we went, actually, yeah, we'll throw everything behind signing this footballer. And that, at the end of the day, has led to us ultimately stabbing ourselves in the back, because throughout the process, there were no real firm bids made. There was only a sort of like expression of interest in saying, would you take £7 million? And then we effectively heard no, and we didn't increase the valuation on our end. Now, I don't know whether that means that it was the end of the interest on the Leeds United side, or whether there was sort of an increase in curiosity and Leeds saying, well, how about if we do X, Y, or Z? But at the end of the day, no reports came out that said that we were like, well, in fact, we're happy to push to 11, 12, 13 million pounds, which was eventually enough to get the deal done. And that's money that we know we have. At the end of the day, for Rowe himself, the decision was you could have interested top-tier football where a side in League 1 was putting everything behind trying to sign you, making 3 bids, or you could have an uninterested championship side that had one verbal approach and was like, okay, we'll wait for the others to drop out of the race, then we'll try and clean up the scraps a bit, which didn't work even a little bit. And we should have known that that wouldn't have worked, because, well, Marseille very much wanted him. It was obvious. And you know what? So did Monaco at one point. And at no point we were like, right, let's trigger it. Let's go. We'll get at them. Didn't bother, even a little bit. And you put yourself in his shoes. If you are Jon Rowe, you do exactly the same. Because you're thinking, right, Olympique Marseille, occasionally get European football, that'd be absolutely fantastic for me. Top tier of their country, and at the end of the day, if I do well there, I can get a Premier League move going forwards. And the big advantage that Leeds had over Marseille in this conversation was we could almost guarantee playing time for him, where Marseille would struggle a little bit more. At the end of the day, the fact that we continued to not show any interest lost us that advantage. Because if we're not interested in, like, increasing our bid or anything, he's going to look at that and go, well, clearly they don't want me that much. I won't be in the first 11. Sod it. Away I go. And that is a big part of Leeds United's failure in this conversation. Because the way I've put it here is it's really, really hard to win an argument if you're not even in the conversation. You can't win the discussion with Marseille and say, yeah, he should come here, if you're not talking to him. And he's a player that we need, that we drastically need, because we've got fuck all at the minute. Look at the squad. We've got 2 wingers. Great. And if one of those gets injured, I guess we're playing Brendan Aronson on the wing. Fine, but he's our other number 10. Or we'll play Joffrey on the wing, and he isn't a winger. Despite the fact he played there a little bit in pre-season. Looked okay for a bit against Borough, but that's definitely not his natural position. And I think if he has to play there consistently, that's not a playoff sort of player. Almost certainly not automatic promotion if he's on the wing. It feels like in this conversation we didn't really try, which is wild, because he's very clearly a very talented footballer. In this situation, we needed to be decisive, and we weren't, and that has cost us big time. And it's cost us several times throughout this window. The fact that, like, on Rexaki, for example, and Harrison Burrows, and countless other players, we've been going through the motions and saying, okay, we'll have a little bit of a conversation here and a chat there, and, oh, do we try and hijack you? And then all these other players have gone elsewhere because they're like, well, I want to secure my future. And Leeds are just sat here with no one having joined us. And there's another conversation that I've noted on this one, and I'm looking at Lubicic as a potential future example of it, because apparently Lubicic in Kicker this morning was actively pushing for the move and being like, yeah, I want to go to Leeds. But we've still not upped our bid. And they're not going to sell if they don't have to, because Cologne are looking for promotion. So there's a pretty good chance that we'll lose Lubicic to nobody. He'll just stay where he is, despite the fact that he's actively pushing for a move. So when the question is, what do we do next? Act! Ideally. Do something. Make a move. Sign somebody. Please. We will have a list of targets. Every single club has a list of players they want to sign. And if a couple of players from the top of the list go elsewhere, brilliant, you've still got a few players left on the list. Pick whoever is best remaining on each of those lists, on the Somerville replacement list, on the number 10 list, on the centre-back, on the central midfield list, and get them. Because we need some footballers, please. I'll be honest, the average Football Manager player has better transfer windows than this, because at least they make the moves. And I know that it's not real money and it's not real negotiations, but there's active movement in the right direction. And that helps a little bit. We have to be decisive. Just sign some players, because we have the money. We know we've got the money. We've got the highest sales on the planet. It's bonkers. And then we have to get onto a little bit of a Red Bull discussion, because I think they are a pretty big part of this conversation as well. 1 second. I've just realised I've forgotten one of my banners. There we go. Bosh. Basically, we are in a big old multi-club network, owned, or at least part owned, by Red Bull, and it has lots and lots of talented footballers in it. Salzburg, really good at picking up talent from Africa. Salzburg also really good at picking up talent from, like, the Baltic states. Balkan, that's the one. And there's a hell of a lot of young and promising footballers there, and why are we not using that? And it doesn't need to be permanent signings either. Even loans. We've got 4 loan slots left. You can use 5 on any given match day, and we've only got Joe Rothwell. Imagine we had 4 very good quality loan signings from Leipzig, from Salzburg, from anywhere. New York Red Bulls, why not? Because at this rate, all we are doing is risking the club's future, because we want to try and be a little bit clever in the transfer market, and it's not working. Because other clubs are just getting there first at this point. We got to make some moves, and if we don't, we're in deep, deep shit. But at the end of the day, as always, that is just what I think. As always, I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments down below what you're thinking on the Rowe thing, on the general transfer stuff. How many players do you think we'll get in? Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're not yet. You can even become a channel member. It's 99p a month, and I think it's quite nice. It's just massively appreciated. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. We'll see you later. I mean, shit, I can play at left back if it comes to it. Sign me. I'm on a free deal. Go on, Leeds. Sign me.